Most people overcomplicate real estate. Here's the truth. You only really need 7 steps, in my estimation, to go from zero to your first cash flowing property. If you feel overwhelmed trying to buy your first property, that's not your fault. YouTube, podcasts, TikTok, everybody's giving you different advice. Most beginners don't need more information. They need a clear, calm starting plan that actually makes sense. If you want to finally understand the beginner path, join my free workshop. Tap the link and grab your seat. So the first thing you should guys do is think about defining what it is you want to do. Like, what's your goal? What's your investing goal? Are you trying to make cash? Is it like cash flow, like you like the income from it? Is it that you like to see the value of what you own go up over time? That's appreciation, so the value of the home, the value of the property. Or is it some kind of mix? Like you like the income, but you also like the wealth kind of building up. So depending on which, you go in a very dodgy area, probably the appreciation is not going to happen. You're not going to see your wealth go up that much. You might get some income, right? People are still going to pay rent, but not the opposite. And in fact, your cash flow, your income over expenses is probably going to be pretty good because you're not going to have much expenses on a cheaper property, in a sense that it's probably a very cheap loan, etc. Probably cheap tax. There's not a huge going on there. So as a result, you might get good cash flow, but you'll sacrifice appreciation. And vice versa, in a really nice neighborhood, although you might get some income, probably the taxes are very, very high, and the cost of getting repairs done in a really expensive area most likely are going to be high too, as well as other things going on. The rent is not going to go up commensurately with the price of the property, but you will get incredible appreciation in some areas. They're very solid. And again, you're kind of betting on that to a certain extent. So define your goal. Is it wealth? Is it cash flow? We'll see that really kind of more advanced, sophisticated investors, they really do prioritize the wealth play because of tax advantages to a certain extent. Because when your property goes up in value, unless you're selling it, you don't pay tax straight away. And even if you do sell it, there are ways in real estate, 1031 exchanges, all kinds of things like this, where we can shield a certain amount of tax. Whereas cash flow, it's less kind of protected, if you will, from tax. You're going to pay typically more tax on that. So it's up to you. Now, the second thing after you kind of picked your goal is to pick your strategy. So what's the vehicle? How are you going to get there? Are you looking at long-term rental? That's typical, right? Putting in tenants for 1 year or longer, usually unfurnished. This is what most people do. It's pretty hands-off. If you don't have much time, this is a no-brainer because you just can put someone in and almost leave them there. Once in the blue moon, they might call up some issues in terms of maintenance, but it's not going to be a daily grind. Short term, this is going to be much more operationally heavy. You're going to be, organizing, either doing it yourself or organizing others or getting someone to do it for you in terms of cleaning sheets, cleaning the properties, turning it over for the next person and the next person, the next person, providing supplies, dealing with messages, all that. There are ways to automate it, but it's a business that you're getting into there in a sense. And in between is a kind of hybrid of midterm. This is where you have a fully furnished place, typically speaking, that has at least a 1 month minimum stay, all the way typically to about 6 to 11 months. Now, this is usually good for people who are coming in for visiting, traveling, rotations, things like that. You're not looking at overnight people, week stays, etc. And we're also not looking at long-term, people who are there for 1 or multiple years, long-term renters. We're looking at kind of a hybrid there. Could be a visiting faculty, they're visiting academics, they're there for a year or a few months rather. It could be someone who's on a clinician, a medical person, travel locum, things like that are traveling nurses. It could be, people that are there for insurance reasons. Maybe their house got flooded, got massive damage. They're going to be put up for a few weeks, a few months. Or even just people that are there, they want to stay in a place because for the next few months, their main home is being renovated. So various reasons, that could be your strategy. So again, long-term, peace of mind. Short-term, higher income potentially, but maybe more headache or some kind of in-between mix, like midterm. Now, once you have your investing goal and your strategy, how you're going to get there, the next thing is we're going to choose your market. Where is it that you're buying properties? So you could look for job growth. So that would be usually, big cities that are kind of going up and coming, where you see an increase in the population or an increase in the median income of the area. So this is places like where we think, Amazon is coming in here, maybe some Google, some tech, some new companies are setting up. Where you see job growth, could be one area, right? Another thing we could think about is where are places that are landlord friendly, right? There are some states that are more tenant friendly, landlord unfriendly. There are some states that are more landlord friendly, maybe tenant unfriendly. You kind of have to look at where it is. Even within states, there are certain towns, certain counties, but also certain townships and boroughs. So, it could matter if you're getting on the other side of this and you're going to be a landlord, you're going to be an owner. You really got to ask yourself this, like, do you want to deal with the headache of, well, you're always guilty until proven innocent, right? If you're a landlord, there are certain areas, maybe it's not wise if you kind of go in there initially. You have to kind of just be aware of that. A third thing is you could think about cash flow metrics. So, you want to look at the market, you want to think about, well, in this market, am I going to get good cash flow? Like, is it an area where I'm going to be putting down a small amount to get into the properties and I'm going to get rent? Or is it a place where it costs a lot of money, like New York, right, to get into New York City, that is, to get in, and the rent might be good, but relative to the actual property, it's not so good necessarily. So you want to think about, like, is it somewhere maybe in a vacation area where it's seasonal, where, you're getting a lot of rent and then nothing. So it could be like a winter vacation or a summer vacation, like a beach. So winter homes, mountainside resorts, things like that, ski resorts, great in the winter, a little different in the summer, depending on area. Maybe there's some hikers and you can get lucky with that. Or the beach areas where typically you kind of get more traffic there over the summer months. So think about your market. That's an important thing. Now, step 4, this is where it matters. This is getting pre-approved. You want to see, like, what's the size of my wallet? What's the size of my purse? Like, that's what I was doing anyway. Like, this part here, it just tells you exactly what you can buy. That's what I love doing first. Like, every time I'm going on the market first, I want to know, like, well, what can I afford? I'm always pleasantly surprised. Hopefully, touch wood, that's always going to be the case. But I'm always trying to find out, like, just when I'm thinking I might be ready to go on, I'll basically call up my lender and say, hey, I'd love to know how much I could qualify for. I'm, thinking about buying, I'm not buying my first property anymore. I'm thinking about buying my next property, and I'd like to know, like, what, you need from me to do these deals, or what you need me what documents you want from me, just to basically get in and to get pre-approved. And if there's any programs that you might have on offer, and that would be great if you're a first-time buyer. They can sometimes give you some good programs. So once you get pre-approved, that's really good. Now you know exactly what you can buy. So you're not wasting your time, wasting realtors' time, wasting other people's time. You need to know the size. Otherwise, there's no point in going to see Beverly Hills mansions when all you can afford, like, is a one-bedroom apartment in the middle of the outskirts of Detroit, right? So you really need to know, like, exactly what the size of your wallet is, and you can be pleasantly surprised by how much you can afford. That's if you're going for the mortgage route. The mortgage route usually opens doors. You'd be surprised. You don't need to have too much in terms of your cash savings, and you don't have to have excellent credit otherwise also. So once you're pre-approved, the 5th thing is, now you know what you're doing, now you can actually go out and analyze deals, because before this, it's a little early and there's no point in analyzing stuff you cannot afford, right? So the next thing is analyzing deals, figuring out, and again, you can do this qualitatively, just getting a sense of the area, like, why are people renting here? Is this particular property, is it going to rent? Is it a stable area? Is this property, this area, is this like good condition, or is it nightmare? Is there a lot of things I got to fix up? So what is the rent? What is the income? If it's a property there already, if you're buying it as a rental, right, what is the rent? Or if you were eventually turning it into a rent, let me look at some comparables. Oh, you're buying a 2-bedroom and it's a 1-bathroom and let's say it's a 1,000 square foot. Well, have a look in the area. What are 2 bedrooms, 1-bathroom, roughly 1,000 square foot renting for? You want to see, like, if it has air conditioning, then try to compare it with units that have air conditioning. So you might even ring up some of the actual property management companies, local property management companies, even local apartment companies, because they're usually willing to, like, let you know, because they may even be able to be your property manager down the road, right? So that'd be good. So Again, that can take the stress off of you. Now, beyond rent, you then want to look at expenses. This is a bit more difficult. This is usually when you kind of get to making an offer. We haven't got there quite yet, right? So, but you want to see, what are the taxes like in this area? Usually you kind of get these percentages, you get an idea. What is the kind of the running costs, in terms of water, in terms of electric, in terms of gas. And you can sometimes check out certain forums, certain groups, talk to local real estate agents, etc., even real estate groups. If you don't already, you can even, if you're living in an area yourself, you can kind of get a rough estimate from what you're paying, right? Ballpark estimate. What are the expenses that could be involved? Now, if you're doing a bigger deal, you can always ask during negotiation for OPEX, right? Operating expenses, or if you're really doing big deals like T12s, things like that. So you want to get an idea of your income, your rent, etc., and your expenses, just to see the net, right? What's your net? Now, there's an actual lovely percentage called the capitalization rate. This is your personal rate of return that you want. So if you take the net operating income, right, and you divide that by the purchasing price, typically that gives you the capitalization rate, right? And so kind of, you might want to do it in different ways. Like you might say, well, you know what, like I'd like a higher cap rate. I'd like a higher net income relative to what I'm actually buying the property for. Now, sellers, on the other hand, they want a low cap rate because they want to kind of expand that denominator on bottom. They want to expand the price they're getting for their property, right, relative to their income. So they like having a low cap rate, whereas you, the buyer, like a high cap rate. So you may want to ask around the area, what are good cap rates? This is more relevant if you're getting into multifamily and especially beyond for or commercial financing, which is something a bit more advanced. But cash flow, what are you going to see? Because at the end of the day, like if you're kind of doing this, you want to make sure that you're not too negative if it becomes an investment property. You're not having to spend a lot of money just to hold on to the property relative to the income. So you kind of, if you can have it negative, it's okay sometimes, but it may not be everything. You kind of feel a bit like hurt, even though it can be a good deal, like maybe the market appreciation, the principal pay down, the tax write-offs, all the depreciation you're getting, maybe those things more than make up for the negative cash flow, but it can be quite demotivating over the years if you're basically paying to hold on to a property more than you're receiving in income. So a good idea is try to get zero cash flow. If you can, great, you're on to a winner. Again, if it's positive, the more positive it is, the better it is for you. Now, pretty much all of my deals, they're highly positive cash flow. There was a recent deal I went into where it could have been technically negative cash flow, but I'm living in one of the units, so I factor in what would I be paying for another rental. And even then, it was kind of like almost borderline negative cash flow. I still look at it like that, it was almost zero. But my turnover, my plan is to make it into highly positive cash flow down the road when I basically rehab and renovate the building and bring it towards market. Now, a sixth step, all right, now you're ready to make offers. So when you're ready to make offers, you can sit on the sidelines all day long, but at some point you have to just step in. Imperfect action beats waiting for perfection. Do not make perfect the enemy of the good. So this is kind of like the idea of analysis by paralysis, right? So, or paralysis rather by analysis. So paralysis by analysis, you're kind of over-analyzing until it never happens now. Me as a guy when I was young and I was like dating and I'd be thinking too much and getting in my head, right, and never asking a girl out. Same kind of thing here with real estate where, if you keep thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and never doing, of course, you want to, lower your risk, do your due diligence, do all your numbers. Not suggesting being too gung-ho, but at some point you have to think about making an offer because you get protected under contingencies during the contract. If you've got a really good real estate, this is where the team comes in. Again, I'm not, this is not advice. This is not real estate advice. This is just my opinion as someone doing real estate for the best part of the last decade. So take it with a grain of salt. This is what has worked for me. I hope it really helps you. The seventh step, this would be basically closing and optimizing. So, this is kind of like when you've made your offer, made a few offers, eventually you've negotiated and one of the sellers has decided to play ball and you've actually shaked hands, maybe not even physically in person, but you're agreed on a price and you've both signed the agreement of sale and now you've executed the contract, you're under contract, however long that is, You can do your due diligence, you can inspect the property, you can make sure if your mortgage comes in, make sure it comes in, etc. And if everything goes to plan, then at the very end, so after execution, on settlement date, on closing, so it could be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever is written in the agreement. The closing is the day where you sign everything, all the final documents, you hand over the check, the wire, whatever it is for the final amount, the cash to close, you get the keys, the property is yours. Congratulations, celebrate this. So doing that, and after the closing, by the way, it doesn't end, because then you're going to optimize. Maybe if it's a turnkey, there's not much to do. But if it's not a turnkey, if it's not ready to go, maybe you want to renovate it. Maybe you've got certain things you want to do that makes it more valuable. Maybe you want to flip it. Maybe you want to put some paint, some new countertops, or more some serious stuff if you really need to do more work to it. So this is all about optimizing afterwards in terms of rehab and renting it out. But trust me, you're going to learn more from property number 1 than 100 hours of YouTube. So when I started, I looked at some work and it was right around about the middle of August, right? Saw some ads and I just went straight into it, saw an idea, followed up with the guy had free stuff, followed up with there, got the information, started my LLC within a week or two, you don't have to do an LLC by the way, that was what I was doing. But within a week or two, I had something under contract. Within a month, it was mine. Within another 2 months, it was renting out. So again, this was a different kind of deal. It's a little different. It's called rental arbitrage. But by jumping into that first property, and even the second one, the one I actually owned, my first one I owned, by doing that and the next one and what I'm doing right now, honestly, learning by doing will teach you more than learning by reading. If you've been thinking about buying your first property, but you feel unsure or behind, listen, you're not behind. You just haven't been given a simple roadmap to follow. Most beginners have the ability to start, they just don't know how. I'll walk you through the beginner roadmap in a free workshop. Tap the link and join us. So again, you don't have to do all this at once. If you want the full step-by-step plan with real examples that I personally have used to build wealth, then join my free training, which is linked below. So let's build your wealth one property at a time, and I'll see you in the next one.